your takeaway from this? I mean, it seems like this isn't a question of whether voucher schools are a good idea, but when they're going to happen.
Well, I think that's the unfortunate part of this whole discussion, is that the decision's already been made. Apparently, I think that's not a wise decision. It's very disturbing to see the leaders of the state education system talking about ways to take more money away from public schools, send it to private schools. The education reform plate right now is quite full. They've got problems with the state imposing on local control with charter schools. They've got a catastrophe out there with the virtual schools on accountability or lack of accountability. So to be moving in a direction of trying to take more money from public schools, subsidize wealthy people for private school tuition, it's just really it's definitely moving in the wrong direction.
There's arguably a lot on education's plate, with the recent challenge with Metro Public Schools, with the charter school, a lot of other moving pieces. Is now the right time to be embarking on a voucher program?
Well, I mean, I think you can make a lot of arguments for why you should or shouldn't do something. I think the fact remains that, like we talked about in the meeting, we're in the mid to low 40s on just about every, indicator around student achievement. So it's certainly not a point in time to just kind of sit back and do nothing. And I think, our kids and families deserve, people in the department working as hard and as fast as we can to improve, the outcomes for all the kids in the state. So, I think what you're seeing is an aggressive and bold agenda, and I don't think you can have an aggressive and bold agenda and not pick up this topic and at least have a thoughtful conversation about it.
So do you think that this should be something that gets put on the legislative agenda for next year?
I think it needs to be considered. I mean, fortunately, I don't get or have to make that decision, but I think putting together a task force to look at it and to really think about if we were going to do something, what those design elements should be and how it should work, and studying what other states are doing, I think is definitely an appropriate use of people's time. And we'll send something to the powers that be, and folks can make decisions about whether they think it's the right approach or not.
What are some of the aspects, or the single most aspect that you think is the most important in making this decision?
Yeah, well, for me from the outset, it's been ensuring that if we do this, students who get an opportunity scholarship perform at a higher level as a result of getting one, and schools from where those students are leaving continue to perform at a high level. So it needs to both have a positive impact on the student and at least a neutral impact on the other schools.
And obviously in the last year or so, we've seen a lot of different education reforms. We had the charter school reforms. We have what's happened lately in Metro Nashville. We've got talk about the statewide authorizer. There's an argument that there's a lot on education's plate right now. Do you think now is the right time to go forward with the voucher program, and why or why not?
Well, it'll be the governor's call whether we go forward with this program, but broadly when I think about reform, I put myself not in the policymaker's hat, but in the parent or the student's hat. And the reality is that if you're a parent, if you're a student, being told, well, there's a lot going on right now, so we'll think about this 3 years from now, it's not really going to help you. So we have to think about what are the things that are going to help students quickly and figure out how many of those things we can do.